All right, hey, welcome back. My name is Dakota Walker, and I just wanted to bring to your attention this book, the haiku on the back: Monks and Villagers, Hinoki Temple in Bloom, Sosei's Orbit. So, Temple of Hinoki, or Hinoki-dera, dera meaning temple in Japanese. Hinoki is a type of wood. It is a sacred cypress that is used in a lot of temple building, or had been used in a lot of temple building. My name is Dakota Walker, or D Walker. Got Sue the Middle Path sitting behind me, right around some ginkgo seedlings, so check those out. This is the first edition. I have done a video where I read the note to the reader, a little peer in kind of like blurb. Chapters, there's 20 chapters. Like I said, there's haiku on the back cover. There's a listing for prominent characters. Now all this you can look at, especially if you go on Amazon and you click on the read sample, it will show you, so you can read, you can kind of get an idea if you feel like the characters or if you find it interesting. This book does follow Flight of Bassa 3 years later. You do not have to start with Flight of Bassa. Flight of Bassa is one of my first stories, so if you buy Flight of Bassa separate, then it's gonna have some errors in it. Like if you're very strict about first person, third person, that kind of thing, you're gonna see some things that you don't necessarily vibe with too well. I have a lot of nostalgia to the first edition, and I really like how it sounds, how it rolls off the tongue. I love that element about it. It was a really important step for me. It was a novella. It was a little bit longer than a couple of my more recent stories. So I really don't have any regrets about it, but I have done edits for not only that one, but Ashoka and the Golden Tree and Flight of Bassa are both heavily edited and fixed in a compilation that I have called Cultivated Yarns. So you can actually get 3 of my writings in Cultivated Yarns, and it gets you pretty up to speed on this. Now, it doesn't mean you can't go back and read Sue, read some other stuff, and get a little bit more insight if you find this to be up your alley. So I'm going to read the first little chapter here, and it starts out very similar to Flight of Bassa, which I didn't even realize I was doing, but I'm really glad I did, because it's in the same hut, same village, starting out, but it's just 3 years down the road. So it is Year of the Metal Horse. It's year 910. Sosei, which is a monk, is actually named after a famous monk that was a poet that died in 910. So it's actually, there's a couple powerful things there. There's references to the poet Stonehouse, to Cold Mountain. There's just a lot of I've read a lot of poetry and stuff like that. I've done a fair amount of poetry. There's a little elements of poetry everywhere I write. So yeah, I even try to in the verbiage of my stories. You'll see that very quick within the first couple in the second or third sentence. Yes. So part 1, visitor. This first little chapter. So here we go. And thank you for joining me today. It was a dreary day filled with gray skies and sounds of pattering rain ricocheting from the thatched hut roof. Yuna and Ryota refused to wake up and start their day, knowing that chores indoors would follow by the first pilled eyelid. Kyoko loved deep cleaning the entirety of the hut on rainy days. Yuna would not typically mind the mundane process of cleaning, but she was still tired from cleaning out the stone house of prior 3 suns. Ryota too felt exhausted as he spent the past 3 suns climbing high into the nearby trees above the secret garden just outside of Stonehouse, where he could be heard carrying on with imaginary friends, spirits, or both. I hope Kyoko lets us sleep all day, Yuna whispered to her younger brother Ryota. Yuna knew he was awake, because one eye would open, scan the room, and quickly close before anyone could see, or so he thought. Ryota giggled at Yuna's question, knowing that she would soon be disappointed. Is that chatter I hear? Kyoko voiced from the neighboring cooking room. There goes that dream. Yuna spoke up enough for Ryota to hear as she sat on her tatami mat and rolled off her cover. Ryota soon followed suit as he predicted a scolding from Kyoko if he remained immobile. Before Kyoko could demand the deeds for the day, a jovial tune broke up the rain from just outside their river hut, where the fish swim beyond the rippling blue-green waters. Just as the simple tune finished, the 2 children heard a knocking at the wooden post. River rafts remained held in place by knots of rope as someone was stopping to visit Kyoko. Uncle Tomo, Ryota yelled, and darted out the front entrance. Kyoko looked a bit flustered as Ryota went bursting through the house with no sandals, hardly any clothing, and breath that could start a small fire. Yuna readied herself and watched Kyoko's demeanor go from agitated to warm and welcoming. She could see Ryota flying as Tomo tossed him up high past his own head repeatedly. Yuna loved having company over because it meant that nothing serious needed done. Ryota finally found the ground and hurried back inside. Yuna quickly gathered a towel to wipe him down and remove the fresh mud. Tomo turned back towards his wooden raft. Yuna's eyes started to light up as she could now see that Tomo came bearing gifts. She knew it was a significant amount based on the size of the large sack he propped over his shoulder. Tomo, as always, had a string of freshly caught fish draped over his shoulders. Tomo, so nice to see my dear friend here today. The very light that we all desperately needed, Kyoko said as she greeted Tomo with a warm, fresh earthen cup of tea. Yuna had just finished in the tatami room, where she rolled up Ryota's blanket and sleeping mat. She entered the eating area and bowed to Tomo. She was still hardened by her past and did everything she could to appear proper. She could recall the night her parents were murdered. Kyoko delivered all the joy Yuna ever needed. When she was witness Kyoko served the needed revenge that same night, Yuna shook her head as her thoughts were not of a comparative nature to her innocent brother, Ryota. Ryota's existence and innocence made Yuna feel better about being alive. Yuna, are you feeling unwell? Tomo asked. Never mind, they just woke up. Kyoko followed up to Tomo's question as she gave Yuna more time. Kyoko could see Yuna had gone back to that fateful night. Tomo felt poor about asking the question as he feared he triggered Yuna in one way or another. Tomo gathered his wits and returned to his jovial nature as speedily as possible, as he knew his mood could run darkness out of an unlit room within moments. The family of Kyoko knew this well, and they appreciated his abilities to make laughter contagious. Tomo grabbed the large sack of gifts and proceeded to solicit a better mood for all. Watch out, Kyoko said as she laughed at the good-natured side of Tomo and his gift-giving. Wow, slow down, Ryota. Don't worry for one moment. I have a special gift for you, too. Just try to be patient, Tomo said with a warm, welcoming smile. Tomo felt mystified because just after he got Ryota to stop running around, he was witness to small legs sticking out from the sack, where Ryota ran and jumped head first. Tomo went to pull Ryota out of the gifts with a deep chuckle. Ryota sat still on the floor, with a look of defeat sprawled across his round face. Laughter echoed off the hut walls as Yuna and Kyoko could not hold their jovial emotions back. Tomo sat down near Ryota and started to pull out a multitude of goods. Yuna collected the different shapes and sizes as she carried them into the other room. Kyoko took it upon herself to remove the large string of freshly caught fish from Tomo's shoulders. Tomo had forgotten all about the string of fish. The two ends of fish were nearly scraping the floor since he sat down. Best fresh fish one could find, said Tomo. Kyoko smiled at Tomo and nodded with approval. She could feed her family and Tomo well this evening. It was the least she could do with everything Tomo has done for her family these past few rotations. She warmed the old wood-burning stove, left by Tang-era monks long ago, a plethora of suns and moons before. Most huts in the village used open ayori. Kyoko's home was unique and the very first of the village. Her father built the first village hut with the help of monks from the Tang era. The original hut had been repaired over time, but the sentiment and location remained the same, slightly away from the river village her father dreamt of obtaining. Man, I just want to keep going because, like, to me, this is a very dear story to me. It actually is influenced by the love of my life, Philomena Melton. She does the art for my stuff and everything, but she is she's involved in breeding moths and stuff like that. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's moth themes. There's dabbling into sericulture in here and kind of the harshness of it. Yuna is the young girl, and she's like going through like dealing with the trauma of the loss of her parents, which if you want to know that scene and everything, that's something you'd have to find in Flight of Bassa. But I believe I did a good job at making sure that you got a gist of like a retelling of some of the past events, so that you know where the character's at. You know that she's young, that she's dealing with some trauma, that her brother was so young that he is not dealing with that trauma. He is still able to be a kid, and it's kind of the light. It lightens the mood, to say the least. And Tomo, main character in Flight of Bassa as well. So, anyways, I appreciate you guys listening. I said I have a lot of inspiration from ginkgo trees. You can see that there's some leaf similarities from these seedlings of 2026 to that of the cyanoprint cover of Sue the Middle Path, which is the guy that was just talked about having built that first hut with Tang-era monks back in the 800s. So anyways, I believe I've built quite a world. It's definitely based off of a real one. Done a lot of research, and this is really what I enjoy doing. So I'm hoping I can get some traction and making these videos. I'm hoping like helps build it up and gets things going. But I also know that this is a process, and it could be, I may never see it to come to fruition in a serious way, but that's fine. You know, like, it's not what it's about. Mostly I do this because I really want to hold it in my hand. It's something I've done. I've always wanted to write a book, and here I've written a few of them now, and I plan to keep going just as the things come to me. I try to start stories all the time. I end up thinking I have writer's block, but it's just not ready yet. I do believe there's this like type of flow state that comes with like creating art, and I have many stories I've started. I've known for about a year I wanted to write something about a temple, about like building a temple, and I have multiple stories of starting to build a temple, but nothing came out until this hit. And this is it's about 75 pages, so it's around 20,000 words. It's a pretty quick read. Like, it probably takes a couple hours for the average reader, even less for those that read very often. Could definitely find themselves finishing it within an hour and 20 minutes or so. But yeah, anyways, have a wonderful day, and check out my books, check out my videos.